And we are live here. We have a few MCs at the helm, so everyone's like, okay. So we're live at Mining Disrupt. We're up in the media center, the VIP area up here on top. I have with me here Aaron Tilton, who really almost doesn't need an introduction. He's a congressman, former congressman, I believe, from Utah.
House member in the state legislature. Yep.
Yeah, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Really important guy in the mining field. And we also have with us here Joseph. And Joseph is a new person in here. He's been learning everything. They're doing a bit of some media stuff themselves, as we are. And so we said, hey, let's sit down and kind of talk on camera.
Fly. Yeah. And I want to give Joseph a little bit of introduction here, because Joseph was actually on America's Got Talent, right? So he sings.
He looks familiar. I don't know if that's why. But.
And then he was also on MTV. And then he's one of the hosts on Monster Energy Supercross. So he's kind of a TV personality. Yeah. And we met at Supercross.
Indeed.
And he was interviewing me. We were the official Monster Energy cryptocurrency platform for Supercross this year. So he's doing the interview, and he was like, "Oh, you guys do crypto? I got a little bit of money sitting around. What is all this stuff?" Right. So this was kind of his foray into crypto for the first time.
Indeed, and that's why I'm here now, right? Like I had an interest, but after the interest gets peaked, it's like, what's the mountaintop? You know, so I'm at the bottom. I'm trying to climb and get all the knowledge that I can.
Yeah.
And that's where when it comes to you two, you know, I guess with your story, I'm interested to know, like, how did you start? How did you get into the cryptocurrency world?
Yeah, sure. And I don't know. I'm normally just on my channel, so I don't even think I officially introduced myself, but it's Bruce Porter Jr. I am the CEO of Global Boost and the founder of Washington Elite. So back in the day when Bitcoin was like 50 cents, my other brher was like, hey, man, there's these things.
50 cents? Dude, that's like the very beginning.
That's
Hey, man.
OG, that's like, right?
Hey, man, there's these Bitcoins, blah, 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 you know, and I'm like, oh, it's kind of cool, all right. And then I didn't think about it really again. And then when I looked again, it was $50.
Whoa.
Wow.
And I was like, oh,
You took out the whips.
oh man. Yeah. All right. So it took another little bit to figure out how to get some.
Yeah.
Because it's always been hard to get Bitcoins. And now it's hard to get them because they're expensive. In the beginning, it was hard to get them because there was no Coinbase.
Yeah.
There was, you know, it was hard. You had to go to like, I forget even the different websites I used to go to, but we would trade in like the very first metaverse, Life, whatever, for Bitcoin. And you'd lose all kinds of stuff, but then you would have your Bitcoins.
Yeah.
Now, of course, if you had held on to them all this time, they would be, you know, you would have really made out. And some of us did, of course. And then some, you know, you go along the way. But at $70, bought my first Bitcoin.
Whoa.
Wow.
And it has been obviously a hell of a ride. When it hit 400, I sold all my friends. Guys, this is overpriced.
Go.
Sell now or cry later. Like, you know, and then it went to 1,200 and I was crying. And, but then it went back down to like 250 or something or whatever it was. And, you know, that's how it always has been. The most amazing thing that I have found about it was always a movement. It was always had a political, I felt like, of course. And people didn't realize it for a long time. The governments of the world didn't realize it for a long time. I actually talked about it on stage here at Mining Disrupt last year at the final panel. We did Dear Elon.
Yeah.
And we've had a revolution going on for over 10 years. And there hasn't been a shot fired. It's been a peaceful revolution. There's nothing like it that has happened that I've seen or experienced or read about in the world before. And if we start really caucusing together on a worldwide level, we'll realize how powerful and how strong we really are.
Yeah, you know, some really interesting developments in the state of Utah. So I haven't been, held office for quite a while, but I'm very observant and still participate a lot. And so we were actually talking to the Attorney General, Sean Reyes, and we're collaborating with the Senate and the House on what's called the Blockchain Digital Asset Task Force. And we are creating some bills now that create a property right for digital assets. So almost like a digital asset bill of rights, right, at this level. And then we're also going to be doing a few things in this task force to create recognition of this property right, and then a structure for a DAO. So a state can officially recognize a DAO so it can pay taxes. It can engage in what has probably been a little bit of a rub, for for a long time when you talk about being a libertarian or having this ideology around the politics of crypto, right? Where we don't want government's involvement, but at some level you have to have some recognition to gain some perspective and protections that are needed, but then also the government has to give up something, right? And so we're kind of building this balance with these guys to say, okay, you give us the recognition, and then we'll give you guys the structure to be able to participate.
Yeah.
Because they have zero way to participate right now. So we're doing this kind of little balance in this dance. So it'll be really interesting. We're using one of the blockchains that we're building. It's a stablecoin blockchain, actually, that's mineable, and using that as kind of the very basis of this. So we got some interesting things going on in the state.
Well, that is pretty interesting. You got to please expand on that a little bit. So you have a stable coin that's mineable.
Yeah.
How is it mineable? Is it up yet?
Yeah.
What's going on with that?
So the blockchain has been built.
Mm-hmm.
We've been testing, doing some things, but effectively, think of it this way. Bitcoin, Ethereum, and a lot of other native protocol coins, they use fees to run the network and to pay the miners to do that, right? Well, and the Coinbase for recording the new block for the block reward. We think that there was some interesting things done, and that was probably one of the not the best features. They took something from banking, which is fees, which is essentially like tyranny.
Right.
I think everybody that was been involved in Ethereum has seen what happened with the fees, right? And even Bitcoin to a certain extent, right?
Sure.
So when it gets out of control, the fees become effectively like a confiscation of your property because it becomes too expensive to use. It's
Right.
like a tax,
Right.
right? So it has the tyranny of technology behind it, right? And so in this structure, what we did is said, we don't like that. What we would rather do is that the structure build a blockchain that is always free. Every transaction's free, but then you have to build in something so you can't spam the network, right? So we have a few things that we put into there so you can't spam the network. But what you actually mine for, the block reward, is the interest in our loans, right? So we dedicate a portion of the interest in the payments of our loans as the block reward. So the bigger the loan portfolio, the bigger the fees. Right. And that's how the mining gets expanded. And so we're building all this stuff with a project called Komodo, if you've ever heard of the Komodo guys.
Yeah.
So all of their head technologists, the CTO at Komodo has basically become kind of our de facto CTO with this project. We're building our own EVM environment so that we'll eliminate the transaction fees, that effectively every transaction will be free.
Amazing. Well, guys, this is all new stuff. I mean, this is like, and for you, Joseph, I mean, this is like not before happened in crypto. Okay, like, yeah, this is really new stuff. So, is it in testnet at the moment, or is it being built
after the first of next year?
The first of next year. So
Yeah.
amazing things coming out now. As far as like recognizing the DAOs and stuff like that, I mean, Wisconsin now has some stuff, right? There's Wyoming. Are they recognizing DAOs now? They have DAO LLCs, right?
Yeah, they have some things like that, but it's kind of like it hasn't worked very well.
Right.
And it was kind of shoehorned in for a purpose it wasn't really meant for.
Okay.
So what we're doing is brand new, starting at a very base level to recognize the right of this digital token, that it existed outside of the government. And that's what we're doing that is different than what those guys have done, right?
Interesting.
They built that to basically build crypto banks.
Right.
But we don't want to build crypto banks. We want to have networks that are autonomous.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
in the state of Utah, it can be done anywhere.
Right. It can be done in
It
Utah.
can be done in Utah. Yeah.
Well, Utah is beautiful. I'll tell you, I love the Park City.
Yeah.
Park City is like
I
wonderful
don't like
place.
the politics there, but
Yeah.
I enjoy the skiing and stuff there. Yeah.
Well, I could see that. Yeah, probably. So what part of Utah are you in?
I'm from Springville,
Okay.
the good conservative
The
parts,
good
right?
conservative part.
Yeah.
Do you have a big family?
No, actually, I have 2 kids.
Okay.
Smaller, but I come from a family of 8 kids.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm from a family of 6 kids. My brother's right there, obviously.
Oh, there you go.
But
yeah.
I have 2 myself. I kept trying for more, but you know how it is.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
So really, it's revolutionary stuff that you're doing. I know we kind of were like ships in the night a couple of years ago at our Versace event. I mean,
Yeah.
what does your normal
What do we do
deal look
daily?
like? Yeah.
Yeah. So with SmartFi, we started 2017. We started getting these calls from guys that wanted all this power.
Uh-huh.
We were an energy infrastructure company at the time and still are. And I was like, what are you doing with all this power? It's like enough to run a city, you know? And at first I thought it was a data center kind of thing. They're like, no, we're mining Bitcoin. And it's like, huh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And yeah, and there was kind of an interesting confluence because previously in another life, in the early 2000s, I worked for a hardware and software company, and they built a field programmable gate array product that they could flash the software, the firmware in there, and do IVR, interactive voice response.
Mm-hmm.
Well, fast forward a bunch of years, and that's what you can use to mine Bitcoin.
Right.
Right. So I kind of started putting together the energy part of this, where you need a lot of energy, and then the hardware side of it. It was like, kind of lights went off, and I was like, I know exactly what to do with this thing. So we started helping these guys basically find locations using our energy background to mine Bitcoin. And then it got to the point where it was easier for us to just fund projects, right? So they would give us crypto, and we would just start lending them money like an oil and gas derivative.
Right.
And we're in the oil and gas business previously, and also in the energy business with electricity. So we had this interesting confluence of software, hardware, financing, and we give that basic commodity layer protocol to deploy crypto mining.
Mm-hmm.
And so at one point, with our clients and the people that we had lent to, we had financed about 10% of the Bitcoin network.
Wow.
So most of it in China.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, and we also were just talking off screen about how we had connected a bit with Daniel Refuse out of Canada,
Montreal, yeah.
out of Montreal.
Who was just on one of the other interviews we did a little while ago. Yeah.
It was just on. He's a regular here at Mining Disrupt. He's also a regular at our events. I think you joined us at the Harvard Club as well as the Versace Mansion event. But it's amazing when you see the guys that have been in it for quite a while. The Coin Dad, you probably know him. He's got the Bitcoin mining museum out there. I don't know if you've seen it. I mean, the guy's been around forever, man. Everybody has been here. Now we have a museum, our first museum.
Yeah, that is crazy.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
That guarantees that I'm late to the party.
I'm like, we have arrived. We have a Bitcoin mining museum. When do I get it? We need Aaron in there.
Yeah, it's like it's dog years in museum time, right? I mean, as far as like, what are we talking? 12 years now.
Yeah.
For an active Bitcoin network, so 12 years. But the interesting thing is, only really about 12% of the population know anything or own some Bitcoin or crypto of anything. So it's still so early.
And that's why it's still bullish for guys like yourself, because, when such a small percent of the population owns any crypto, I mean, and look, everybody's going on to leave their kids at least one Bitcoin.
Yeah.
I mean, just think about it. At least one. Give the kids at least one Bitcoin. You know what I mean? And there's only 21 million Bitcoins, and a lot have been lost, as I was saying earlier. So,
yeah, 20% is locked up, either lost through, loss of passwords or private keys. Nobody knows.
It's gone.
It's in landfills in a hard drive somewhere.
That guy,
in the
he's
UK,
been trying to get out
Tell
there
me about
forever.
that.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Now he has a new way. He wants to send the little robots in there.
Oh, is he?
I don't blame him. I would
yeah.
want to get in there too.
Yeah. Man, if you had any way to figure out where it was, it's like winning the lottery.
It's like winning the lottery. So tell me a little bit. So you've invested in a lot of different projects like that with SmartFi, or was it something else? How many?
During that time, it was called Power Block Coin.
Okay.
It was all about power, right? Energy and the infrastructure side of things. And then over the years, when we did these transactions and did these derivative things, we started thinking we should take what we've learned and make it available to people. Because I remember taking a Ledger Nano and basically transferring, $20 million worth of Bitcoin in one
right
swat. It was like, you start and doing 5 Satoshi tests. Are we sure that's the right address? Yeah, we're sure. We're sure,
That's insane.
And doing that, and then you just hit go and just and then you're watching to make sure it shows up on the on the ledger. And that was terrifying, right? But it's just how business worked. And so we built a platform to make it a little simpler and make it easier, but then also to take some of the risk out, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have a coin, we have our stable coin that we're launching. We're actually doing a project coming up with a bank.
Okay.
And the bank is going to insure the deposits, the dollar deposits on our platform with FDIC insurance, because we're doing a deal with them. So we do this FBO account, we do these things. So that's the goal for SmartFi, is to make things simpler, easier, safer, right?
Yeah, well, that's what I always say. I'm like, guys, you know, we are never going to reach like really like mass adoption until my wife is comfortable sending money. And let me tell you what, my wife is not going to send some Bitcoins to this long address. Okay. Like it's just not going to happen. She's going to be like, I'm too scared to screw something up, honey. You do it. Like, that's it.
Yeah,
you know,
33, 36 alphanumeric address that you got to look at the last four, the first, never going to happen.
I would say, like, for a person like me, my thought initially goes to how close are we to being in a position where it's as simple as something like Venmo?
Well, I think guys like Aaron are building that next level.
That direction.
Yeah.
Well, odd enough, but in about 6 weeks, our app will be out with this stablecoin network that can literally replace Visa and MasterCard.
Wow.
Right? Because we're using a stablecoin, but then it's an app, and we're doing it in partnership with a bank.
And it's autonomous, right? It's not. I love that.
This part of it. So there's pieces that are right, because you have to have
you have to play both sides.
the confluence. Yep. You got to have the one good side over here that's all regulated, everything's safe and good.
That's
with
the
that.
bad side. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
No.
The good, the label good side. Then you have the other good side, right?
Right.
The two evil twins.
Yeah.
But that process, and the reason is we had a bank that they actually saw Supercross.
Uh-huh.
The CFO there was a Supercross fan.
Whoa.
And he's actually in Utah. And
That's
so on LinkedIn, he hit me up. I was like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
And so we ended up talking. And long story short, they had some clients that are quote unquote the unwashed from a Visa MasterCard perspective, because they manufacture and sell firearms, right? That they believe in the Second Amendment, right? So they were getting
that.
Yeah, and they're getting their accounts canceled and all these crazy things. The ideology of some, financial institutions don't believe in that. And so they were like, can you build a system that allows that transaction to take place, that'll replace merchant processing, and then we'll settle it at our bank?
Right.
I was like, it's already on its way, and so here we are kind of building this up. So we've been testing things, and they were providing us with some services now that we were getting from some other places, but doing it better.
Amazing.
Like our ACH is now same-day settlement.
Wow.
Right? So it's as good as a wire, but nobody knows how to send a wire if your wife. Your wife does not know how to send a wire, right? But she can get on there and put in like her bank account through Plaid.
Yes, I can't tell you the number of the bill. Probably all the bills she pays.
Yeah.
So they're all connected to this account or that account. Yeah, amazing. So yeah, I think that's when it'll really be mass adoption, when it's like a PayPal, when you put it in and it goes. We're not far off. I mean, we're a year or 2 years. That is, I think, of course. I mean, in the end, you want to be able to use it everywhere. Like I was complaining actually to my wife. I know I mentioned her a bunch in this interview. She would love this interview.
Sorry, whoever's married to this guy.
But like they're like charging me I was like moving it to and to get it into something we could use. And it was like 1% here and 2 and 1.5 and like what in the world, like how much by the time you get out of it, it's crazy.
Yeah,
and
all
so
the fees of the tyranny.
Yeah, and so to be able to use the money, and that's what it is. It's money, and to be able to use it
it's
easily.
Your property.
Right.
Yeah.
I know.
For
it's
sure.
amazing.
And that's the goal.
Legendary guy here, Aaron Tilton. I really Tilton, right? Tilton, did I say that right?
Tilton. Right?
Yeah. Legendary. Really appreciate sitting down with you. I think we'll do some amazing things. I don't know if you'll be here for Art Basel, but we're going to do a big event there as well. Also amazing to you.
Tomorrow night?
No, Art Basel is December 1st through 3rd. Yeah,
I thought we were talking about this.
Yeah. No, we're going to do our Versace event again.
Cool.
But yeah, it's been a real pleasure.
I'd love to come out.
Yeah, for sure. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm loving it.
Cool.
Dude, I'm freaking loving it.
Yeah.
This is insane.
Cool, man.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Man. awesome.
Yeah, real pleasure. All right, and we're signing off. It's Bruce Porter Jr. I'm the CEO of Global Boost and the founder of Washington Elite.
Nice.
Got it. Thank you, sir.